I love how Aertih is like super excited and ready to go. All the voice actors just do such an incredible job and embody the characters. I also like how they give you the ability to pet the Chocobo chick, right? There are so many games where people want to pet the animals. The character interactions are all just a great part of this game and this series. And I think that they totally get it right.
Hey there friends, welcome in. I'm John Q. Today we're going to take a look at the gameplay trailer for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, game I'm super stoked about. They had released a stream of it recently from the Tokyo Game Show. They kind of walked through all the footage with some of the directors and other creators for the game, and then a localized version has come out with English voice acting, etc. So I kind of want to just take a look at that, sort of peel back a couple of pieces of it as we look through it and see what else we might be able to find as we're all kind of greatly anticipating this game. So let's take a look.
Okay, so this is obviously, they had said this is the tunnel where the party comes out from KALM. If you didn't play the original game or you're coming in from Remake, this is where they escape Midgar, the main major city, where they're up against Shinra, the company, and they are now, heading out into the broader world to pursue the bad guy Sephiroth. And the world just looks so much better on this gameplay trailer. You tell him, Aertih. It just looks so good. And it's going to be even better in full 4K and not a 1080p trailer like it is here. But now one of the questions that I do have about the way that Rebirth is going to play out is I've noticed that in some of these gameplay scenes, you'll be able to see it here behind Aertih and Red. There's sort of that green swirl, like Mako energy or something, and I'm not sure if that's coming from maybe like Red makes a comment in a second, or just did maybe about how the planet isn't doing so well, like it's barely holding on, and I wonder if that's maybe what we're seeing there, because it certainly wasn't present in Remake as we went through Midgar. It wasn't present in the original game, so I'm very curious. We see it time and time again in this gameplay footage, and I'm wondering where that's coming from. So I kind of pointed out a couple of times, but I'm really like super curious, like what's causing that. But all the character models, they just look great. They just look so awesome. The textures, the eyes, the hair, the wind blowing, the lighting, the shading, like just everything is such a huge upgrade from even what it was in Remake. Barrett's super excited. He's like, oh, we just head this way. Or there's that green swirl again. Yeah, and he's like, or maybe not. Yeah, and then the Shinra ships in the air look like massive flying irons. I'm not sure why that is. Maybe there's some sheets that need pressing in KALM where they're escaping from. I'm not sure. But to any extent, whatever, Cloud's over it for sure. He's ready to go. And I love how Aertih is like super excited and ready to go. All the voice actors just do such an incredible job and embody the characters. And see, there's the eyes again. Just like the level of detail, the way the characters move, it's all so good. And I think that they just sort of capture the essence of all the characters. It's clear that they all get it. I love how Red 13 is the one leading them out to go on this adventure. So that's really, really neat. I like how they kind of show off that you can switch parties now. And one thing that's also really cool is they have like certain moments like you're going to see with Red and Aertih here, where normally if characters like clip into each other in a video game, sometimes it looks a little odd and a little awkward. But they kind of actually sort of like, I think, capture like a character interaction that I'm really hoping that they'll be able to do a lot more with. with Rebirth, where they just pay attention to these little things, so they sort of bump into each other, and it's like, oh, sorry, and then they each kind of react in the way that you would expect Aertih, you know, sort of this like very outgoing, you know, kind of closed off girl, and then Red, you know, sort of like dog character, and you sort of kind of back away from each other because they don't really know each other yet. Like I like how all that's done. I'm really hoping that we see a whole lot more of that. Clearly they've designed this whole world with a lot of what you can do in mind, from traversing the area to you know, just any points of interest and everything. I like how, again, you can switch the party. I'm really hoping that they build the ability for you to be able to do that on the fly during battle. It looks like right now you can only do that outside of combat. But I hope they go like full Final Fantasy X, you know, switching characters on the fly during combat. Maybe in Part 3 when we get access to everybody else, that would be really cool. But even if we only just get this, it's a major upgrade from the old PHS system that you had in the original game, where you kind of like had to like dial in at a save point and switch character members or party members at that point in time, and nowhere before that. But they did say the world map is going to be really seamless, and you can sort of walk in and out from points of interest on the map to exploration and everything else. And the music even does that as well. I'm a big fan of the music in Remake and the series in general. And what they seem to have done in Rebirth just takes it up a whole nother level. Like you'll see here, they kind of go from, you know, just wandering, there's some enemies nearby, it kind of flows into just a battle version or orchestration or an arrangement of the same song, and then it flows right back out of it. I'm going to take a listen to that real quick and just here it go. And I like how the characters can sort of engage together like Aertih and Cloud just did. Tifa was always so much fun to play in the original, or in the remake game. Looking forward to that.
Ready?
And then, man, just a smooth transition back out of that arrangement to the world music again. It's just so neat. You know, I'm looking forward to the ways that could come out with other music that they use throughout the game, in various like caverns or exploration areas, boss battles, etc. I just feel like it's going to be so awesome just to hear it all. There's a lot of influences, obviously, to Horizon Zero Dawn. One of the directors for this, he's co-director on the first game for Remake, but he's the full director on this one. Hamaguchi said that like he really loves Horizon. I know a lot of other people have already talked about this, but you'll see plenty of influence on this game with that one. Starting with these items that you can pick up along the ground. I'm really kind of hoping you can hold down triangle to pick those things up as opposed to pushing it over and over and over again. They certainly got better about that with the Horizon games, from Horizon Zero Dawn to Horizon Forbidden West. And I wonder if Cloud will like comment on everything he's picking up. They certainly fixed that with Horizon, with Aloy and Horizon Forbidden West. She kept picking up all these things and saying every time she's picking something up. And obviously you can do crafting with it and things like that. I'm kind of wondering and curious on like, when you play a lot of these games where you can do like item making or crafting, you can also obtain them throughout the world, or you can buy them or whatever. And so generally speaking, in a lot of those games, you end up with a lot of surplus stuff that you're just not using to make new things. So I wonder if they're going to sort of like scale back how many of them you get without making them, so that it's more of a gameplay mechanic that you use a lot, or is it just going to be kind of an optional thing? Like you could do it, but you don't have to if you obtain them other ways. That'll be pretty interesting. It seems like some of them you have to actually build up your craftsmanship level in order to make them. That's pretty neat. And like, just again, I'm going to say this time and time again, but the character models in this game look fantastic. Just the way that they stand there, they engage with each other. I actually want to go back for just a second, because if we look at the item menu or the main menu, you got your ability to craft items, again, materia and equipment like you could do in Remake. Upgrade your weapons, that was also available in Remake. Spells, inventory, card decks, they're going to touch on that a bit later. And it looks like they brought through the photo mode. I'm hoping that they do a better job with manipulating the camera in this one. The photo mode is one of the things that people love playing with. I play with it in The Witcher and Horizon and other games, and the camera in Remake it didn't let you move as fluidly or as much as you wanted to. It was kind of limiting. So it was there, but you didn't have full control over like manipulating the scene to make it what you want it to be. And I'm really hoping that if they take a lot of influences from Horizon, their version of the photo mode is just amazing. There's so many different things that you can do and manipulate. And I'm really hoping that they bring that through in Rebirth. I'm hoping that is one way that they kind of take a nod. So they'll just keep running through the world here. I like how they can traverse the environment. Like that was one of the things that felt like kind of held Remake back a little bit, was like, Cloud couldn't jump. It was kind of the big joke everybody had, right? But now you can sort of jump off things or climb up or over things. One thing I will say is like, I'm glad that they're not adding like an ability to jump. And the reason why I say that is because if you think about other games where you give players the ability to traverse the environment on their own, freely to explore anywhere, but you give them the ability to climb, jump, whatever, the tendency is to take that to the extreme. I know I've done my fair share of like figuring out what I can and cannot pull off in a game over time. I like super jump, or I wall jump my way to the power bombs and Super Metroid on the Super Nintendo, like way back in the day, before like there even was a YouTube. I didn't know that like other people were also trying to find the same thing. Or Skyrim, like I've spent more than my fair share of like figuring out the polygons and where the lines are, and like jumping my way up a mountain to end up in a spot where I shouldn't be, to then like snipe bad guys from up high. Because they're not expecting you to be there. And I like the idea that for this particular game that they give you the ability, a little bit more freedom to move about, so it's not as limiting as the like linear environments that they gave you in Remake, which made sense in Remake, honestly, because you were in Midgar. They needed to control the narrative. You didn't have as much ability to explore as maybe we even wanted to like go all over Midgar. But I like the idea that they're giving you more freedom in Rebirth, but not too much where people would just be doing that kind of crazy stuff, right? Like let's sort of give the players what they want, but to a certain extent that works for the game, right? Obviously the choppable boxes are back. Now there's the Chocobo chick that will lead you over to these sort of like bus stops or save points that you can turn into a fast travel. One of the things that I do like about even though the SSD is so much more powerful, and there's a lot of things that still are not drawing as quickly as maybe they should as you get closer. But they got time to polish all of that out before this. This gameplay footage obviously is still a ways out from when it's going to launch, and they'll have time to clean some of that up. But things do load really, really fast in this gameplay trailer. But I like how they sort of like, even though they don't need that anymore, like in Remake you had to like hold down triangle like they're doing here to fix this signpost. You had to hold it down because you needed to give the system on the PS4 time to load. But you don't have to do it here. But they still, from a consistency standpoint, knowing the player experience, they brought some of that stuff forward so that it still plays some of the same way, and you have elements that hey, this is how Remake worked. It's also going to be present in Rebirth. And I really like that. I also like how they give you the ability to pet the Chocobo chick, right? There are so many games where people want to pet the animals. People want to pet Marl's dog in Intergrade. They want to pet, Roach, the horse in Witcher, or other things. And giving the ability for the player to be able to do that is just a nice little add-on, a nice little bonus. I like how Cloud sits on a cushion because they said that the bench is old and dirty. That's pretty funny. And then on the save point, like you can see the old save point logo on the bench, like it was in Remake, as well as on the bus stop. You can see the Chocobo chick kind of went to sleep with the characters. I think took a rest. That's pretty cool. But I also see the Loveless posters, and that's also really, really intriguing to me. Like if you didn't play the other games, like it's this play that's in the game, and it kind of like has its own little story. But then also, if you played some of the other games in the Final Fantasy compilation, like it's also sort of an allegory for the Final Fantasy VII narrative too. It kind of mirrors certain things in certain aspects. And it played heavily in Crisis Core that they just re-released on the PS4 in advance of when Rebirth was going to come out. And Genesis, one of the characters in that, was like obsessed with Loveless. And I just feel like we're not done with that. Like they put all that in there. They developed that whole narrative. Like there's more going on here, and I feel like between Rebirth and the third game in the remake trilogy, we're going to see more of that for sure. So we'll just have to wait and see how that plays out. I don't know, but they're going to switch Red into the party now. They're going to show off some of his combat. I think that they obviously definitely said they focused on, hey, we want to make his gameplay and especially his combat mechanics way more unique. His Stardust Ray is like, goes crazy on bad guys, which I think is really cool. They also have like a vengeance mode where if you play defense, he'll build up a little bar that then you can use to go on offense. There's no other character really that plays like that, so that's pretty cool. He has these like spinning moves with these like pouncing mechanics, and he has like huge claw attacks. They all just look so awesome. So I'm sure he's gonna be a lot of fun to play, and I want to see more of that for sure. So I'm also I like how they've added swimming in. If you go into a river, or they said also like beach areas. If you like swim out to a nearby island that's in the that's nearby, I think that's a nice, again, a little way that you can sort of maneuver through the environment. That's pretty cool. I wonder how, like, it doesn't look like in the gameplay trailer here that they like look wet after they get out of the water. Certainly, obviously, they could still build that in. They've got the time. I kind of hope they do, because it kind of take a little bit less immersion. It'll take you out of the game a little bit if they just immediately look dry. They've certainly done a great job with that in like the Tomb Raider games and different things like that. So I'm kind of hoping that we'll see that come into play for sure. They're coming up on the Chocobo Ranch here. Anybody who played the original game would know, but this is kind of like where you get these Chocobo creatures, so you can like sort of traverse the swampy area to get where you need to go next. And I like how they still have that here. It's still present. See, there's that little green swirl like leading you into the Chocobo farm. And I just like, I'm so curious, like what that is, why that's there. But he hops a fence here. They kind of run up and talk to Chocobo Billy here because they need some ability to travel. I really like how the character models are all developed in this game to be CGI, which is way better than the in-game, models that they used in Remake. I like Chocobo Billy's got like this hat and this scarf, and they're all kind of dressed differently. That's really neat. The girl at the counter too. You'll see her kind of flash by in a couple of minutes, but he's like extorting them for a lot of money. I think that's funny. And they're like, "Hey, we're kind of broke. I don't know." Just they all look superb. Like this game is going to be gorgeous. You can just sort of tell. But I like how this sort of like they do a lot of good job with like the humor and different stuff like that. They did it in Remake. They certainly do it here. All the characters engaging with each other and all that kind of stuff. They kind of make a comment here about how Cloud's hair kind of looks like a chocobo. Really funny. Cloud's like, I don't know what to do with this. Like, what is he saying? So I like how he has like a chocobo logo on his overalls, just in case you didn't know what he was there doing. It's pretty neat. Yeah, so they're getting sent on this mission to go locate a Chocobo that had run away, and they're going to capture it and bring it back, and then they'll be allowed to use it and train on it, etc. They said they're supposed to follow tracks, and there were tracks in the OG game, and they obviously, I think from a gameplay standpoint, to sort of teach you how this works, these tracks are always going to be here. They're always going to lead to the same spot. But I'm kind of really hoping that, like, as you travel the world and as you locate other Chocobos, that the tracks will move as they move in the environment, and so you really do kind of have to hunt for them. I'm kind of hoping that that's really the case. I guess we'll have to wait and see, but that would be really neat. So yeah, they've located them. Barrett's like, oh yeah, let's go get one. And I like how Aertih, again, voice actor does such a great job, capturing, like, hey, Cloud, you get it, right? We're not here to kill it. Yeah. But then I like how it, like, transitions to sort of like this, almost like another mini game of, like, hey, we need to sort of stealth up to these Chocobos. And again, like Horizon Zero Dawn, Forbidden West kind of use this tall grass mechanic, or even like if you're thinking about other games like Metal Gear Solid. I'm a huge Metal Gear Solid fan, obviously, and I like how they sort of built in this, like, oh, you need to, like, distract it, like, and in just a second they're gonna, like, throw a rock or whatever. I like how, like, the game doesn't always play the same way. They kind of mix it up a little bit to keep it interesting or keep it fresh while you're playing. So it kind of switches to this mode where it's like you don't want to take it on head on. You need to do something a little bit differently. And so they've even got Pico, the Chocobo here, who's gonna, like, constantly watch you, and so you have to use the distraction mechanic to toss this rock here. I think it's really, really neat. I hope you can't hit the Chocobo with the rock. Nobody wants to do that, right? And then you sort of just jump on and capture it, and then it just sort of gives up after a bit. I like how it switches. Again, the music is so fantastic in these games, and I like how it kind of switches over to, like, the hip hop to Chocobo. That's really, really cool. And we never saw him get the greens, so I don't know, like, maybe they got that automatically as part of the, like, the side mission or whatever. Again, the character interactions are all just a great part of this game and this series. And I think that they just, like, they totally get it right. And Red's, like, a little distrusting of it and everything, and he's like our cat. Like, he feeds, he gets done feeding, he's ate all his food, and he's still hungry. That's so funny. So, and then, once they get done and the Chocobo takes off, I like how they sort of show off the fast travel mechanic. I would love to say that I have the ability to just, like, sit around and, like, re-walk back over there and, never fast travel. That would be ideal. That would be great to keep you in the world longer. But the reality is, like, I don't have time for that, right? I got a job, and then I got a family and everything else. I'm just an average dad trying to, enjoy games and do this and on the side. And so, like, the ability to just sort of jump back to where you need to go, and it loads so fast, it's crazy. So they start heading out, and suddenly a wild Chadley appears. Just out of nowhere. And Chadley was, like, an interesting character in Remake. And I like how they sort of brought him forward. They've changed his outfit a little bit. They're going to give him some new ways that he can interact or help the party, etc. I see that they have a lot of these, like, conversation choice mechanics, which are fantastic in games that use them to determine what happens or the dialogue or how things play out. It increases the replayability of games like this significantly. Some of the best ones that do that, BioWare's games, like the Dragon Age games, or even, again, Horizon has awesome mechanics like that. I'm really kind of hoping that they're not just selections like we see here, but they're actually fully voiced out. Like, have Cloud say yeah or nope. They could put that in. Maybe they didn't, just from how much of it you do. But one of the things I really liked about Final Fantasy VII Remake was like the entire thing was basically like you were playing out this entire scene, this entire narrative. Everything was fully voice acted. It was superb, and I'm really hoping that they do a great job with that. I have confidence that they will, but yeah, they're gonna choose. Oh yeah, I remember who you are, and I'm hoping that they continue that forward. But I like how they've also sort of brought him back, and now he's like not just collecting battle intel, but now he's collecting world intel. When we saw the Japanese language version of this, I had no idea you said that. That was really funny. Again, the humor is just fantastic in this game. So, but I like how they sort of brought him forward, and he's collecting world intel now and not just battle intel. I still feel like maybe there's a way that they may use that in the future and have it come into play on a larger scale. I don't know what they're going to do with it, but like it'd be really neat if you got to part 3 and like, oh, I collected all this info about you, and now let's use that against you, or or I don't know, whatever. But that would be really interesting. But they sort of build these towers in that you can activate for Chadley, and he'll give you points of interest on the map. I like how you still have to explore the map. You still have to go to these places to uncover like the fog of war on the map, so you can actually see these places. But they sort of like build in this like hey, at least some of the points where you need to go. And I feel like this is another way where Horizon has definitely influenced, because this is very reminiscent of the way that you get the equipment and then you activate the tall necks to reveal areas on the map. So, and again, like Chadley's outfit is like, he's different now. He's like in these like this like, I don't know, Boy Scout kind of get up of some kind. Yeah, here's some of the stuff that's like still loading in. And Cloud's Buster Sword like has all these scratches all over it. And one of the things I was thinking is like, if you think about how in Crisis Core, if you played that, or Angeal was originally the person who had the Buster Sword, and then he gave that to Zack, and then Zack gave that to Cloud, right? But Angeal was always really big on taking care of that sword and making sure that it was polished and that it looked nice. And I kind of wonder whether when we get to Zack and we get a chance to see him, like, is his sword in better condition, or does he take better care of it? And like, he just, when he handed Cloud the sword, he never said, hey, like, make sure you treat it well, right? So it would be really neat if like we saw one that was in like much better condition, or didn't have as many scratches on it, that kind of thing. That would be really neat. And I like how the more that you explore, you're kind of rewarded with things like materia, which you definitely use throughout the game. So there's like kind of a point to doing that exploration. That's really fun. And I can't wait to see like what kind of stuff you're able to get, especially because like it looks like in Rebirth they're going to take some of the materia and they're going to like save you some of the slots by like combining things together. Like you'll be able to see like you have like fire and ice materia together in one slot. It looks like it even like casts both of them, maybe. Like you get like ice and then you get fire, or maybe they alternate or something like that. Auto cast was one of them. Auto use abilities was one of them. So I'm curious to see like what other materia you're going to be able to get from Chadley as you go. What is this little thing that just rolled up out of nowhere? That's like his little bot assistant now, I guess. Oh, and I really, it seems like you're going to be able to access Chadley without going to him, maybe. He's up there at the top right on that bar. I don't know if that's the case or not, but it would be super nice just to be able to like communicate with him without having to travel back to where he was. You had to do that multiple times in Remake. I mean, if you had to, that's fine, but it'd be nice if you could just do that from anywhere. That would be really, really cool. And then you see down at the bottom left, you get like towers, combat assignments, summon crystals, life springs, proto relic. I don't know what any of that is. I guess we'll have to find out. And now they're gonna like, okay, well, we need to get where we're going, so we're gonna finally use the Chocobo. And it looks like on the right here, you get like again a bench. You get the old vending machines from Remake, and then some kind of a new machine also of some kind. I'm curious to know what that is too. Like, what's the purpose of that one? What does it serve? But they're gonna hop on the Chocobos, and then I like kind of like how they all hop on and they all ride together. you can see on the left here, or on the right here, you can see like even Red is like holding on. He's like trying to ride. It's so funny. And then I like how they sort of brought through a gameplay mechanic from something like Final Fantasy IX, like using the sort of scent and dig, abilities of the Chocobos to like locate something in the environment. And that's something else I kind of want to even think about exploring a little bit more, is like, I feel like the Final Fantasy VII Remake Project as a whole is sort of like a culmination of all the games that Square Enix has made before, all the other Final Fantasy games, even like Chrono Trigger with the dual techs and stuff. There's Mog's Mushroom House there. They'll show that off in a little bit. But yeah, so I'm kind of like, I'm thinking about like, maybe you can find like something unique from every Final Fantasy game or Square Enix game that's present in this game in some capacity. That's something I definitely want to like look at and explore further, and maybe I can see if I can figure out like find one thing from every game. That would be pretty neat. They're gonna jump into another battle here. They got like Chadley's little like AI thing here that's gonna. I like how they do give you some monster lore and sort of give you a reason to like learn more about everything. I'm really hoping that like all this exposition doesn't happen like while you're trying to play, or can you cancel that? Like, hit the button and it stops talking or whatever. I like how a lot of the monster models, like what they look like, are very faithful to the OG game. You can see like they're casting lightning on Cloud, and then he's using that as part of his attack. The team up stuff in this game alone is like stuff that I'm like totally looking forward to, because I want to know more about like how can you have them synergize with each other, use abilities together. That's some of the coolest stuff that you're going to be able to do in this game, I think. Especially like it creates this ability to have like sort of this replay mechanic where you want to play the game multiple times or with multiple different party members so that you can see how all that stuff works together. And not just like, I think most people sort of just, when they play through the OG game, they typically end up with the same party members all the time because none of that stuff exists. So, so I think that adding that in gives it an element of like a fresh replay and, or a different way to play. And that's really cool. That's really exciting. And they sort of like, it looks like these Chadley side missions sort of give you like 3 different objectives, like completing it within a time limit or staggering the enemy. They already got one of them. I think they get all 3 by the time that they get done. And then like not only do they have like synergy abilities, but they can also like do these big team up attacks too. You saw Barrett like in the scene and then he like ran away because he's not one of the 3 active party members. That's really funny. So I didn't notice that. That was pretty cool. Yeah, so they're gonna do like this the synergy ability between Red and Cloud, right, to finish this bad guy off, and it's just like devastating. I think it's so cool. That's really, really neat. And then I like how they all do their like battle pose at the end. They still like work that in, like on a regular battle. They don't do that, but they sort of still found a way for you to have the party do that in certain points. And I like how they give you an ability to retry right there. That was really cool. Like if you don't get the objectives done, you don't have to leave and wait for it to reset and come back or something like that. It gives you just a chance to try again right there. that's pretty cool. And then like it loads in and they go to KALM. I'm not sure how they go back to KALM when Shinra is all over KALM looking for them right now. There goes that green swirl again. And like KALM it just looks so good. Like I don't understand. Like we, if you played the original game like a long time ago, you had sort of had like your own vision for how this would look or whatever. But certainly I didn't picture anything that's sort of like this. Sort of like a European style vibe to it. I do like how in the original game, like all of the locations all had their own sort of unique look and feel and that kind of stuff, and it seems like they're going to bring all of that through here. One of the neat things about Remake 2 was like the world felt very lived in. You walked by people and you could listen to their conversations and stuff, and it was all relevant or would change during the game as events were playing out. It seems like they are going to obviously do all of that here. This sort of like, covered bridge or this, this stream that, flows by and everything. The whole thing is just, it all looks just so interesting and so cool. It's got a dynamic and look and vibe to it. I like how they brought through a job board. Like if you played The Witcher or other things, certainly, it's a good way to bring in that sort of, you're still a merc for hire. Like you left Midgar, and in Remake, you could pick up side quests to help people out, and you're still doing that, right? Like you're still trying to do good for other people. I think that's pretty cool. They sort of, maintain that instead of just, hey, talk to somebody, you get a quest. You talk to somebody, you get a quest or side mission or whatever. I like how they sort of like, it's still got that theme of you're still trying to build a rep. Or you're still trying to, do good. That's pretty neat. And again, like everybody looks different. This guy has like this weird kind of like farmer outfit, but he has like a jacket on and everything. I don't know. He looks like he's dressed like a farmer, but he also looks like maybe, I don't know, he's getting ready for something else too. So, and where's your belt, my man? Like, come on. But I like how they said that, depending on how you, who you have in your party, that plays into how some of these side quests play out. Like they said specifically, if you have Red in your party on this particular conversation, then the this NPC will talk to that particular character or loop him into, have him involved in how you do the side quest. I think that's pretty cool too. I just like, it makes you think about like how often that would happen, or again, replay value on a game. How many times, you could do the same thing, but it plays out differently. That's pretty cool. They're building all sorts of different, like, on the nav bar at the top, all different points on the map that you're supposed to go to for various things. And again, like, just the depth of these characters and interactions together. Like Red is like super into this, like, hey, don't worry, I can help find it with my sense of smell, and then he's not sure that he can do it, and so Cloud recommends maybe the Chocobo, and then he's like I don't know, he's like a little offended by it, or maybe like put off, like, no, I can do it, and he like gets all competitive. It's like just like they've given everybody these personalities, and again the VA team who's doing all the localized work, they just do a fantastic job. I follow Strange Rebel Gaming. Go check her out. She does the voice acting for Aertih. But like they totally get these characters, and I just love it. And I think this sort of wraps up the gameplay that they're doing. So I'm just going to jump over back to the Japanese live stream to take a look at some of the other mini games or game mechanics that they have built in. Yeah, so you've got the Moogle House. This is also some kind of a mini game. I'm not sure exactly, but not sure how that factors in. You got these thugs that kind of came through from Remake, and then It seems like one of them's like, hey, you guys, I got to do something real quick. You guys take care of it. That's funny. And KALM was there. It looked like in the background of, it's almost like maybe this is like not a windmill, but one of the two. Well, no, actually this is, hold on, let's stop for a second. When they're fighting them, you do have those little check boxes that show up at the top. Yeah, you got these little check boxes up at the top here. So this must be some kind of a side quest where you kind of have to track them down, or that's interesting. Like maybe you get some notice from someone else that there's these guys causing problems and Barrett's unloading on somebody. There's the new Queen's Blood card game. That's where the card decks come into play. And it has like this Tetris look to some of them. Like, they've definitely gone all out with mini games to give you so much to do and explore. And I mean, in Intergrade, like some people really liked the mini game that they added, but other people really didn't. I thought it was okay. I thought it was really well done for what it was. But oh yeah, here's the Chocobo customization. And you can sort of, I'm hoping they give you all sorts of stuff that you can add, or looks like it's ready to go into battle. They've got other side quests, you know, where you can do Chocobo races, which I'm assuming this sort of like gives you a little bit of prep for when you go to the Gold Saucer. And then I like this too, like one of the really neat like moments that Remake kind of created and sort of sat on for a second was creating that dynamic between Cloud and Aertih, and her focus on the flowers and everything. And I like that they pulled that through too, and you're sort of doing that some more. This is also that area I said that like showed up on the left previously in the background, where I think this is probably like that Midgar to KALM area somewhere. But I really like how they sort of like kept up with like Aertih left the church, she left the flowers in Midgar, but she still cares about them, that she's still focused on them. That was a neat shot of like Cloud waiting on this thing to dive in. And I think they said this is going to be a pretty difficult fight. You got to do some things to unlock it or something, and then they said it's going to be pretty challenging. So, oh, and then the piano. Like I played drums, but if I was ever gonna learn to play piano, this would probably be the way. But I really love how they've sort of gamified playing some of the music from the game, because the music is so awesome, and they made it a little bit challenging too. Like it looks like it's gonna be probably like just as challenging as like the pull-ups or the squats that you had to do in Remake. But it's tied to the music, and I'm a big fan of the music in this game. So being able to like play through them and you know do a gameplay mechanic that's like centered around that. And I like how they gave this guy the opportunity to sort of play this piano mini game live too, because then you sort of like really get to see it in action, and it's a different environment than Cloud was in when he was playing the piano previously. So obviously these are like two different spots, or maybe you can just go straight into the mini game somehow. I'm not sure. But I saw some other folks, I think Blitz and Maximilian Dude, are both talking about how they could totally envision people just using this mechanic in the game to like basically play whatever they want, which also like sort of brings this freedom and this element to it that I think is really just unique and distinct to this game. But it just like the ability to give people just the ability to create whatever they want is I think that's really fantastic. So yeah, and he just seems like you have to time it to when the bar gets to the outside of the ring, just almost like in the dance off that you did in the Honeybee Inn, right? You have to wait and time it to right when that little light swirl goes through the button indicator. Man, and I don't know. This is just gonna be really interesting. I wonder what the left and right D-pad and the square and the circle buttons are underneath too. Like, how does that factor in? Clearly you're using maybe both analog sticks to control the dials, but it's all rhythm based, and again, just it's highlighting the music of this game, which I don't think we could do enough. The guy did pretty good too. 105 greats. That's pretty good, I think. And then they said Wutai is not going to feature in Rebirth. It's going to be in the third and final game. But I gotta imagine this has got to be some kind of a flashback or a callback to one of the characters being in Wutai previously or something. That's the only thing that makes sense. Unless it's kind of a summon mechanic or something. I'm not sure. So just overall, just a phenomenal look at what's going to be a very fantastic game, and I personally can't wait to get my hands on. I know a lot of us in the Final Fantasy community all feel the same way. So thanks for spending some time breaking that down with me. If you have any other thoughts or ideas on things that you'd also like to see, or other influences maybe from Horizon or other games that you saw on there, you want to feel free to throw those in the comments, or anything else you're looking forward to with the game, let us know. Just toss that into the comments, and we'll keep watching out for future news and updates. February 29th cannot get here fast enough. Can we all agree on that? All right. Have a great time. Thanks.